Okay, so you've purchased that knife you always wanted, and I've had this for a while. This one's an AK-47 bayonet. It was made in Poland. I've changed the handle to a slightly prettier wood, and I've polished it up and cleaned it up a bit and so on, and changed the blade sharpness to more of an edge weapon than a stabbing weapon, and so on. And this is my general bush knife, but the scabbard that comes with these is a fairly heavy military thing that's metal, and it's not really suitable for walking around the bush with, you know. I wanted something lighter but still very sturdy. Now other projects you might have are like the idea I've had with these. These are just machetes from Asia. They're about $16 Australian each, and what I intend to do with these, I've got a pair. I'm going to make these for internal display, you know, on a wooden board or something or other. I'm going to change the handles to timber, you know, find a bit of mulga root or something interesting when I'm bushwalking, and then hand carve the handle to be exactly the same shape as my hand, you know, left and right hand, because I've got two here. I'll make one of the size of my left hand, one of the size of my left hand, using moulds and all that sort of stuff, and put a blade guard on here and a pommel on the end of the handle, perhaps out of brass or something or other. Anyway, dress them up, polish the carbon steel blades up to a high sheen, and then make some scabbards. So that same problem for making a scabbard. So how do you make a decent scabbard for a knife that you're actually going to use, as in the case of this particular bush knife? Well, what I did with this one is, I'm not very good at sewing, but my brother's got an industrial sewing machine, but you can do this with hand stitching. There's plenty of YouTube videos of that. Inside this scabbard, if you see on the end here, you'll see the end of what is a leather hilt, a leather scabbard, sorry, that's made exactly for this shape of blade. Now, I found that necessary because you can't just buy scabbards that suit your knife. You've really got to make something that suits the shape of the knife so you get a neat fit. And leather, of course, is extremely good because it's got a little bit of grip when you put it in there, but it draws smoothly and quickly, as you can see. But you'll find with leather, well I do anyway, that unless you've got a very stiff leather, which is a bit inconvenient at times, they would tend to break here where you've got a belt loop. See, that's a belt loop there. So I decided to sheath the leather in paracord, since I had, you know, a roll of paracord. So I looked on YouTube videos, and if you look here, I'll try and get a bit closer. I think the camera can focus. And I've got reverse half hitches here down the main body of the scabbard, and on the back I've interleaved a stitch just to take up the broadness of it to keep it flat. And then I've got a Turk's head knot on the top and a Turk's head knot on the bottom to lock it. Now, before I put the top Turk's head on, I interleaved back in here with a paracord, and then used a guy's video on how to make a paracord belt, and made a belt that backed in on itself, and then it actually weaves into itself. Now, incorporated in the paracord layout, I put this little loop here. I'll take that out so you can see it a bit more clearly. So a little double loop. Now, of course, this is to stop the knife falling out when I'm get it the right way around. When I'm tromping around the bush, you know, when you're climbing, for example, you might hang upside down, whatever. And this particular knife's got a nice size guard on it, so I just made the loop to suit that guard. And you make it tight when you first put it on. The paracord is a little bit elastic, and fairly quickly you'll find that it'll slip on and off very quickly. So basically it's just a thumb action when it's on your belt. When you go to pull the knife out, if you want to get it out quickly, you just pull the loop off, put it back on again, pull the loop off, and so on. Now, I looked at it when it was done. It was looking pretty cool. It's not a perfect line. I mean, you could try to get a perfectly straight line if you want, but I actually liked it a little bit random. Makes it look a bit more backwoodsy, you know, homemade sort of, you know, craft backwoods, you know, that kind of stuff. A bit more masculine, in my opinion. So a little bit of imperfection here makes it look like it's actually been made by a tribesman in New Guinea or something, in my opinion. But I wanted to seal the stitching so that it wouldn't unravel over the long periods of time. So I thought, use varnish, but then that didn't seem to be durable enough. I thought about resin, but that's too rigid. So I settled on PVA, polyvinyl adhesive. Now here in Australia, the brand name is Aquadeer. Now first of all, I got this stuff from my local hardware shop, and I noticed this is interior grade, and if you're aware of this stuff, it actually is, before it sets, you can dilute it with water, and I thought interior grade, I just wasn't sure that that would be durable over a period of time. So I purchased a bit of this instead. As you can see, this is still PVA Aquadeer, but it's exterior grade. See that? Now, once this is set or dried, whatever you want to say, that's a fully waterproof and very durable product, and it's got a bit of flex in it. I mean, as you know, with PVA, if you've got PVA or PVC pipes, they've got a bit of flex in them, so that's a bit flexible, but it's stiff. Now what it basically does when you've coated it with, you know, you just get your finger on there with some rubber gloves on to stop the stuff getting all over you, just push the PVA into the weave of the paracord, and it makes it quite rigid, you know. Now I actually put I think 3 or 4 coats of the PVA onto it before it was stiff as I wanted. I mean, you could keep going and make it basically a solid piece of PVA, but this is just right for me. This is what I like. I just like the feel of it in my hand, you know. Now, just for the sake of it, before I put the PVA on though, I thought it'd look pretty cool if it was black. So I got sold some of this super duper black dye. I don't think it really matters too much which brand you got, but this is professional grade stuff that you use in drafting pens, and you know, because I do drawing and design, so I buy this stuff for my ink pens, and this is indelible, they say, which means it's fully waterproof and colour fast and all that sort of stuff once it sets. Don't get it on yourself though, because it's basically like putting a tattoo on until your skin redries. So I stain the whole thing black before I put the PVA on. So what's it like in use? And what will these be like once they're done? Well, of course, I think it looks pretty chunky, you know, looks cool. The advantage of making it yourself is, for example, I like to wear 2-inch wide belts. It's just my thing. And a lot of belt loops you get on Scabbards and that aren't really that wide, so I made this about 2 1/4. They're 2 1/4 inches, so that it fits well onto a wide belt, you know, so it'll fit any belt that I've got in jeans or whatever I'm wearing. And it's got this very important feature of having the little I don't know what you call that, locking loop on there, so that the knife doesn't fall out. Now when it's hanging on your belt, you can see you can alter the weight distribution. You really do these things, make them as you want to. It sort of hangs in, this one, because it's a fairly long knife, and that means it actually hangs close to my leg, which is nice. Now if I am upside down, you see the knife wants to slip out, but the belt loop stops it from doing that, which is pretty important if you don't want to lose your knife. So that works. So there's an idea in how to make a scabbard. Was that a fair amount of work? Yeah, it was, but actually it was very pleasant work. The worst bit was getting the stitching on the very simple leather scabbard that we started off with. But other than that, I think it works well. Now I've had this for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, and Parachord, of course, is pretty durable stuff, military grade gear. So this action here, you think that might be the bit where it would wear, but there's absolutely no signs of any weakening or anything there. I didn't actually put any PVA above that point, obviously, because I wanted that to remain as flexible as possible, which is what Parachord's really good for. And of course parachute cord is pretty tough stuff generally, so I put the PV up there basically just for looks. And for me, I just left the belt loop free of any sort of coating, you know. So that suited me. Now that worked well, and I quite like the look of it. It's got sort of a tough look, just in my mind. So you can see now I've got a fairly big project, making a big leather pouch. That's I've got to try to work out how to get the blade to slide in and out of a scabbard, you know. I might actually cut the blade so that it's sort of scimitar shaped, you know, cut the back off, profile it, you know. That'll look pretty cool hanging on the wall, don't you reckon? You know, make a template and do both of them the same, and then it will sort of basically pull out of a scabbard, you know, like I can make the scabbard a bit more to the shape of the blade, which would look pretty cool hanging on my wall. So that's what I did. I don't know what you do, but that's what I did, and it works. It's very functional. Looks cool too, I reckon. Anyway, see ya.